What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. So today I'm doing another parts build up. This time I'm doing it with ktuned. If you guys have seen, I did one for hybrid racing. Obviously these are name brand parts, so these are pretty much going to be expensive, or for the most part your preference. But this time I'm doing one, if you were to build one off of ktuned.com. Shout out to Canada for ktuned, giving us ktuned and all those cool parts. But other than that, fun fact, if you didn't know, basketball was actually invented in Canada, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, let's get moving along. So I did one for hybrid racing. A lot of you guys put in the poll that I did that you guys need a little bit of help with parts. So if you guys are opting to go with a preference like ktuned, this will be another source for you. Obviously, you could just source at a different vendor or company, for keytune parts. And sometimes they have a lot of times they have specials, or you can wait for, like Black Friday deals or Cyber deals. And, same applies to hybrid racing, same applies to budget, same applies to Amazon, eBay, or wherever you're getting your parts from. For the most part, I have seen name brand parts like ktuned, hybrid racing, etc., being sold on Amazon and eBay. Granted, you do have to be careful because a lot of times they could be counterfeit, or they could be replicas, or they can be knockoffs, however you want to label them. But they do have name brand parts in there as well, because eBay and Amazon is full of retail sellers that offer their products or their company stuff in those sites to reach out more to more people. All right, so enough of that. Let's get right into the ktuned parts list that we got in here. Hopefully, it'll help somebody out that's choosing to do this. All right, so let me see. Scrolling all the way to the top. Obviously, ktuned has a different layout than hybrid racing. And adding on from the beginning, I did forget the map on the hybrid racing, but I mean, it's not that big of a deal. You're eventually going to need a map sensor. Also, hybrid racing doesn't, I mean, ktuned does not have a lot of options like hybrid racing when it comes to, I guess, finding a lot of the stuff you will need for your swap, like radiator and I believe headers. So another one, ECU, they only have like one, I think links or something. They only have one option. I didn't even add it in there, but they don't have a lot of the stuff that hybrid racing, I guess, will offer for the most part when it comes to like a one-time chop. Having everything in stock type deal. I mean, they do have a lot of stuff. They specialize in a lot of stuff, but it doesn't. They don't carry, I guess, a lot of stuff. The high racing is does sell on their website, but overall, they do have a lot of stuff if you want to do damage and get your kswap on the road and going, and going with the process. All right, so obviously we got the map sensor in there. Obviously it's up to you. Ktuned's a great brand. I've also seen like the Acuity ones, and you can go with dormant or OEM ones, but ktuned right here, we have it, and you can see right there the 109 ponies, well 110. Come and look at it. All right, also I didn't also put the throttle cable for the hybrid racing, but we have a throttle body cable right here for kswap. It could get a little bit annoying because the length is a little bit different than a regular car. So it's I bought one a long time ago. That was actually, I think it was meant for like an RSX, but it did say kswap, and it was causing a lot of binding because it was too long for me. So I had to get a shorter one, and it made it work. But usually kswap, and it does have the millimeters in there, as you guys can see, 950 mm's millimeters, which will help you guys out, kind of determine. But look at that right there. It's not too bad, about 45 bucks or so. All right, moving forward, obviously you're going to need the intermediate shaft, like I was telling you guys. That's going to provide for the passenger side to get the correct length on the axle for you to actually drive the car. So insane shaft, you can't go wrong. They're rated for high, but you can always get an OEM with one as well. Then the pricing are pretty much similar. You have to look at it from across the board. And then obviously insane shafts, once again, axles, you're going to need these. These are 500 horsepower, 32 millimeter ones that you have. Those are the correct length on both sides, especially the passenger side is the correct length that you need to prevent any pop outs in the future, or because if that happens to you, you could damage, and you probably will damage a lot of your intermediate shy splines, and you're gonna have to probably replace the whole thing. All right, let's keep scrolling forward. Obviously, has port mounts. They kind kind of like don't really change across the board. 629 for the EGK2s. I opted for the 62A polyurethane because this is pretty much all street driven, but obviously they do have they have different polyurethane numbers in there for the grade of, I guess, of durability. Well, not durability, but I guess of stiffness that you guys will probably want for your application, like either street or performance or semi. I actually am running on my Integra. I got 62As, which is like street comfort. It limits a lot of the vibration and it feels really good on the road. And then on the EG back here, which I miss this car, has been so long. I have 70A, which are a little bit more of the on the street and performance aspect. It does vibrate a lot more, I'll tell you that much. So I could have probably gone with the 62, but they perform really well. All right, so let's move on. And then obviously a fuel kit here. We have the ktuned fuel kit, which brings the fuel rail, fuel pressure regulator, and lines as well. Everything that you need to get the whole thing situated. And it's at 549. I don't remember how much the high racing was, but ktuned can't go wrong. It's super beautiful. If I had to compare them both, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. When I did the EG, I actually went with ktuned. I found it to be a little bit more on the affordable side, especially a lot of deals for this brand. Granted, they have different variants out there now, like revamped versions of their brand. Volume 1, 2, 3, 4. They have revamped a lot of their and upgraded a lot of their existing products that they have out there. So on the EG back there, I might have a lot of this older generation stuff that they made previously, but in my opinion, ktuned was a little bit more easier for me to actually afford and keep it brand. And at the same time, that was my first build. There was not a lot of aftermarket parts like we have now out in the market. So ktuned, once again, it's beautiful. Their design, I'm not knocking high racing, but a lot of the stuff that they have is super nice. All right, so let's keep moving forward. Obviously, I didn't put ground kits on the high racing. High racing has nice, very affordable ground kits, and they actually have, I think the kit brings all of them, which you will have one for the battery negative terminal, and then three, which usually I will recommend three for a kswap. But right here, very affordable, is a pair of ground kits. I believe these are the metal ones from ktuned. 21.99, 22 you round it off, and it brings two. So I mean, it's not bad, but you do have a little kit right there. Then their engine harness, which I mean, they have different setups where you can do kind of like OEM setup route, or you can do a tug setup. Tug is usually the very famous one because everything's tucked and out of the way and clean. It's a clean engine bay. But I don't care about OEM's, I guess, route, because I just like um, reliability, or I guess I don't really care about too much about looks. But here we got the hybrid, I mean the, sorry, ktuned one right here, and then I seen it in person. It is beautiful. You could select what mill grade, say how it says select grade, street grade. They have mill specs in there. Obviously it's gonna be a little bit more money, but they is very nice. They're all label, beautiful. I've seen them. I've seen this one actually in person, and it's really nice. It's pretty much equivalent to OEM, if I had to say anything. And I mean, you can't go wrong with these. Very um, common ones to get if you're opting not to go with OEM. So let's keep going here. Here I also put a clutch line. You guys can see about 100 ponies, and definitely something that you're going to need when you're doing kswap. I'm not sure on D series, but on the B, they're hard lines. So, and it's on the opposite. I believe it's like on the opposite side, because the I guess the way it was routed. But these are kind of like metal, like kind of like a flexible metal line, and it comes out really nice. Comes with all the fitting, and I think I'm running that one. I'm actually running that one on my EG as well. I got a ktuned clutch line. All right, so we got the conversion harness. So I'm not sure if they revamped this one, but I know the connection on these ones were a little bit different. I'm not knocking the ktuned conversion harness, but I remember back, I'm not sure if they revamped it, but usually when you're plugging the connector, which is like a connector, I want to say, is almost like a 101 or like a 300 or 3, something like that. Sorry if I'm bushing, or I can't recall, but it usually connects underneath the driver passenger side underneath. That's usually where it's located. But I think for the K2 one, it kind of like bypassed and it went all the way to the shock tower on the driver's side area, like kind of in the corner where like the master cylinder reservoir was at. Is usually plugged up all the way up there. I'm not sure if they changed it or not, but that's what I remember from that conversion is, I mean, it's not bad. It's way cheaper, obviously, than hybrid racing. But I can't really vouch for this one. I am not running that on my EG or on my Integra. Obviously, on the Integra, I have a leftover, which I'm not going to mention the company, but it's a leftover that I have from a long time. On the EG here, I'm running Sparks Racing. They still sell. They're still out there in the market, and they're about the same price, maybe $10, a little bit more. And I actually went with that because a good friend of mine at the time referenced me that one because that's what they were using, and I was in a pickle, so I was like, "Hey, it worked for him. It's gonna work for me." So I went ahead and got that, and it worked out for me. Now on the engine harness, it is OEM. All right, so enough of that. Let's keep moving forward. And then they don't really have a lot of selections when it comes to radiator. They pretty much just sell a half size that goes on the passenger side, which is super crowded and kind of awkward. But that was one of the first versions they made. They haven't really revamped them or kind of done more about it. But essentially, I seen it in person. It kind of goes on the passenger side, and it's it's like sandwiched, kind of like right in there with the intake manifold. So it kind of sucks in the placement that it is at. If it was on the driver's side, you will have a lot more spacing. But essentially, it's meant to bolt on, or the factory one was at from factory, like with the mounts and everything. But I mean, you could change the mounts on them and you probably move them, but it'll be super awkward the way it is. I don't recommend it, but if you guys are, you know, I guess want that, then that's your choice. But I did put the radiator hoses in here because they're super nice. About 100 ponies. I kind of wish I had them on my EG. My EG is pretty much a ktuned kind of like a ktuned setup built that I did, and I actually have hybrid racing. Nothing wrong with that. They were actually affordable at the time. They're about $80. But I would like to keep the whole theme, I guess, because I mean, I have way more keytune parts in there than any other brand that I chose to go with. All right, so let's keep moving forward. Obviously, you guys saw in the hybrid racing one. If you guys saw the video, I did put the cover valve breather as well. $21.99. This one's a keytune one. I am actually running it as well on the EG, and I mean, it's optional. It's just like a vent filter. You can route it. You can route it back to your intake, and so it's optional. But I mean, I added it in there. We have ourselves an idle pulley, which I am running one as well, a keytune one. But I have like the first version, which is like chrome, and then later on with time, they actually made the like a black version of it, and it looks super nice. Mine came with the whole complete kit with the belt, obviously K24, so I got the belt for it. I can vouch for it. It is nice. It worked. It did its thing. But so let's keep moving forward. Then we got the cooler intake. The cooler intake has gone through a lot of revamps. I actually have an older version of it. It's chrome, and at the time I think it was like 160, which is not bad. Now actually you can see they went up in price, but I think this is pretty much that version. Just like they just revamped it. Now it comes like black or like an anodite black or something. Mine was chrome, and it has all the I guess ports for you to actually connect it properly, like if it was stock. And it does run all the way to the bottom, kind of like where the windshield washer fluid reservoir is at. But you have to be careful because if you take a photo, you're gonna hydroplane really bad. So I actually cut it. Like, let me see if I can show you guys. If you guys kind of look right there, I took that out, and then I pretty much just put the filter in there and make it shorter to that way I don't have any surprises, and it sucked up pretty good decent air and performed well, so no complaints on that. So let me take this off. All right, so let's keep scrolling. Obviously I put the thermal gasket again, something that you definitely need, and that's obviously for an RBC. It's something nice to have. It separates it pretty much. This minimizes the transfer of heat to the intake manifold. So put it in there as well. Obviously, I went with a 70 millimeter keytuned throttle body because I am actually running one on my EG. I have kind of like a version copy of it, kind of like an off brand on the Integra, but I have the real deal on the EG, and I can vouch for it. It's super nice. I didn't have to do anything. It looked beautiful. Obviously, I have an older revamp version. I mean, older model of it. This is a revamp version, so it's super nice. They took all the kinks out, and obviously it's just newer. But overall, I believe you do need a. I'm not sure if they it says dual PRB slash RBC both pattern, but I know on mine I needed a plate, sandwich plate. So most likely you're probably gonna need like a adapter plate. That's what I call it, kind of like sandwich plate, adapter plate. And I'm actually running one as well. So can't go wrong. 140, and they do have different sizes as well. All right, going to the shifters, and I guess talking a little bit more. I'm not gonna lie, I believe Hybrid Racing makes better shifters. Acuity is also up there, but Ktune does not have a lot of options when it comes to shifters. Like they only have just kind of like one model, and then they just kind of like ran with that. You know, they haven't really made any different colors that I've seen or different. They just pretty much been revamping what they have. I think it's all the way to version 3 now, but you guys probably have seen it. They've actually knocked that one out. Made a lot of knockoff copies of it. But overall, I do have a kind of like a keytune plate, and I mean it's kind of like one of the first versions that came out. I'm not sure if they revamped it, but we have the plate right here, and it's 140. Obviously, it went up in price with time, but it's the whole kit. It's kind of like a billet. I'm not sure if it's black, but mine's like pretty much chrome or silver. So you go in, and that's the shifter that I was talking to you about. Obviously, it's something that you're going to need. Um, Majority of all kswaps, depending on what transmission you run, obviously are requiring a RSX style. That's why it says RSX style, because usually the transmission that you're running is an RSX style because of the shifter pattern. The only exception, I guess, it'll change is if you have a K20Z3. Those ones are different. The shift selector on those ones are a lot different, but put it here because it's something that you definitely need when you're doing your swap, and you will definitely need that to mount it in there, because on the on the manuals you got a shifter, kind of like a shifter tunnel that sticks out, and that will help you kind of like mount it. Granted, you will have to sacrifice 10 out of 10 most likely, either bush or cutter it, kind of modify it, your interior dash piece to make it work. This is kind of like sticks out pretty bulky. I'm not a big fan of it, but I mean it does look nice. All right, so keep moving forward here. We opted for the OEM shifter cable specs. Obviously, I'm running OEM on both of them because you can't go wrong. And these, I'm pretty sure they're nice. I mean, $300 for them, and these are the OEM specs. So I mean, I'm running OEM specs. They do have race specs. They have all the specs out there, and I can vouch like Ktune makes nice shifter cables. So good. Obviously, you're getting your money's worth. All right, and that is it, folks. Let's see if I can show you the price. And obviously, you guys saw K2 was at 10 G's, 10 Ks, and we're almost shy. So if you guys see here, obviously 4,000, pretty much 5K if you guys look at it. Hybrid Racing was about 10K. So I mean, we do not have K2 does not offer a lot of the stuff that Hybrid Racing does. So that number is probably a little bit low, probably because of that. But overall, I think K2 will still be a little bit cheaper than Hybrid Racing, maybe by a couple thousands. But it's up to you guys. You can't go wrong with these two brands. Coming up, when I was doing my swap, which I did it back in 2017, 2020 or so, that's pretty much a lot of the only two options that you clearly had when you were doing your build. You know, either align yourself or you both use both of them. I clearly went the Ktune route because it was just affordable. You know, I was getting name brand parts at an affordable price, sometimes discounted. Couldn't really find that with hybrid racing, to be honest. And if you guys notice right now, hybrid racing is kind of expensive, but I personally like ktuned in certain aspects, but hybrid racing has come up a long way, especially in now, and they're kind of like leading when it comes to, I guess, kswap parts for the most part. But you cannot go wrong with ktuned. So that's going to conclude the video, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Trying to help somebody out there with what you're trying to do. I apologize for that. And keep coming back for more kswap related content. I hope this helped somebody out. See you guys.